Hello Year 4. Now today's home learning for maths is all based around decimals and adding two decimals together to make a whole number. Now this may seem quite intimidating and like it would be really hard, but actually it's quite a simple process as long as you know your number bonds to 100, which was something we were focusing on Monday. So just to start us off, we're going to recap on some number bonds to 100. The slide that's on now it's got a little calculation. It involves that 30 plus what equals 100. Now you may naturally know what the answer to this is by knowing what number bonds go with 30 to make 100. But if you're not sure, a number line is a really handy tool to use. Now with your number line, you will start on 30 because that's your starting point, and your destination is the number 100. So that will be at either end of your number line. Now you can count up in steps of 10, so you can go from 30 to 40 to 50. But I think we're confident enough to do nice big jumps. So from 30 to 50, we know it's 20. And then from 50 to 100, we know that we need to move forward another 50. Now with that 50 and the 20, we add them together, and that gets the missing number. So these two numbers together, 30 and 70, are the two numbers in our bonds that add up to 100. Now transferring this across decimals is actually quite simple. Take a look at the slide that's coming up now and you may already notice a pattern. Our 30 and our 100 have both been divided by 100. So our 30 becomes 0.3 and our 100 becomes 1.0. And we again have to find the number bonds that come together to make 1.0. So once again, a number line can come in handy. And rather than starting on 30 and ending on 100, this time our number line will have 0.3 on the left-hand side and 1.0 on the other side. And this time, rather than making jumps of 10, so from 30 to 40 to 50 and so on, we will make jumps of tenths, because that is what 0.3 is, 3 tenths. So we can jump a tenth to 0.4, another tenth to 0.5. But again, I think we are very confident. So rather than going up in tenths, we can jump 0.2 or 2 tenths to 0.5, and then another 5 tenths, or add another 0.5 on to get us to 1 whole. And again, if we add up all the jumps that we've taken, 2 tenths and 5 tenths, or 0.2 and 0.5, we add them together, we get 0.7, 7 tenths and 3 tenths equal 1 whole. And the exact same principle applies to decimals that include hundredths. So in this example here, you'll see we have another number bond involving whole numbers, 35 plus what equals 100. And again, if we can sort the number line, you can see we are taking jumps from 35 to get to 100. So from 35 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 100. And of course, you'll find that that jump is of 65. So 35 and 65 are two numbers, or number bonds, sorry, that make 100. So if we do the same with 0.35 and a mystery number to make 1.0, we have again divided those numbers by 100. And again, a number line will come in handy. But in this time, we're not taking jumps of just tenths. We are also taking some jumps that involve hundredths. So in this case, we've had to go from 0.35 and do a jump of 5 hundredths, or 0.05, to get us to 0.4, or 4 tenths. We can then jump forward another tenth, or 0.1, to get us to 0.5. And then, of course, another jump of 0.5 or 5 tenths to get us to 1. So number lines can be really handy to give us some clues about the number bonds that we need. And in this case, 0.35 plus 0.65 equals 1.0. So hopefully you can see how number bonds are really helpful in this case. So hopefully now you see how useful number lines and number bonds are to help you figure out how to add two decimals to make a whole. However, this won't be the only way in which questions involving adding decimals to make a whole are represented. So I want you to take a look at these ones on this slide here involving bar models. and I want you to give these ones a go. Look at how the bars are being represented, look at the numbers involved, and pay close attention to the bottom question, because it's asking you to do something slightly different. So how did you do? Because the answers are coming up for you now. Now the first one is 0.6 because you need to add 6 tenths to 4 tenths to make 1 whole, which is the same as 10 tenths. The second one, the answer is 0.25 because you need to add 2 tenths and 5 hundredths to your 7 tenths and 5 hundredths to make 1 whole. In the last one, I hope you paid close attention because the answer is 1.41 because in this case, you are going from 0 ones, 5 tenths and 9 hundredths to 2 wholes. So you need to have 1 whole, 4 tenths and 1 100th. Again, a really simple way to help you with this would be to think of these as if they were number bonds to 100. So in the top left one, rather than it being 0.4 and 1, it could be 4 tens and 100 rather than 4 tenths and 1 whole. So as you know, 40 plus 60 equals 100, and you can work like that. So try and see the patterns between number bonds to 100 and decimals to help you figure them out. Now, there's just one more way in which we can represent adding decimals, and that's using this 100 square coming up. Now, I want you to look at the red squares, and I want you to look at the blue squares, and I want you to count up the red and count up the blue and figure out what calculation it is showing you. Now, as you can see, if you count up all of the red squares, there are 43 squares in total. So 43 of the hundreds. As a decimal, that would be 0.43 because you got 4 complete lines, so 4 tenths, and then you got 3 individual squares, 3 hundredths. So that would be the red. The blue would be 0.57 because you got 5 whole lines of blue coloured in, so 5 lines of tenths, so 5 tenths, and then you got 7 individual squares of blue, 7 hundredths. And as you'll see, 0.43 plus 0.57 equals 1 whole. So that is a little helper to get you ready for your work today. The questions will be very similar to the ones that you've been dealing with in this little video here. Best of luck, Year 4. I look forward to seeing your completed work.